Tell me who you really makes you fucking angry.
Who makes my blood boil? It used to be, I don't know if you remember this guy, because nobody knows who he is. Do you remember Patrice O'Neal?
No one remember. Oh, that's good. See what you did there?
He used to be.
People do know him, and what you're doing is you're.
I'll tell you why.
Good.
I'll tell you why. I'm not mad at him anymore. He called. He used to torment me at the Comedy Cellar night after night. So a few months ago, I was playing a theater in Florida, and he was playing a club, which is hilarious when that happens.
Thing.
Hilarious. So I said I wouldn't go into the radio station until he left because I didn't want to be face to face with him because he made me so sick in the early days.
Wow.
He actually called the radio station and apologized on air for anything he did to me. Now, that's why I have to say I don't hate him anymore. I think a lot of them come around. They see, hey, you know what, I was wrong, and I'm a nice guy.
When you say a lot of them?
The blacks.
The M blacks.
The M blacks.
Hey, you, what did you think about, because Eliza just kind of stepped in shit. Eliza Schlesinger.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, you didn't hear? She was just saying that female comics, she was challenging female comics to...
She basically said that, I think she said that she's the only female comic with, like, a history joke, meaning that, and that she walks into a club and can't tell the difference between which female comic is performing. They're all just telling jokes about their vaginas and all that, and kind of pointed herself out as somebody who's not following this sort of sameness.
Here's what you do. As a comic, I've learned this hard lesson that she will learn. You never generalize. On stage, of course, for humor. Never say I'm the first. Never say I'm the only. Somebody's going to figure out somebody who has that joke, and you're going to look like a jerk and have to apologize. I don't know if she's right. I have many history jokes myself, black history, about my own history with blacks. So this is how I feel. But I see what you're saying, because I remember once Norm Macdonald was on the radio, and he said something about there's no female comics out there, this is like 5 years ago, who act female. And at the time, they go, well, what about Lisa Lampanelli? He goes, she acts like a dude. And I'm like, yeah, he's right. So you can't ever get really mad about stuff that you're lumped in with. But I don't know. Who'd she get crap from? Just a lot of other female comics?
A lot of women, yeah.
You know what you do? You let it go. You let it go. Guess what? I do what I do. Am I the most original person in the world? Maybe not to some. I'm totally me. That's how only person I could be. They say, oh, you rip off Rickles. I say, I never directly stole one of his jokes, but if I happen to have the same beautiful lovability that he and Jim Norton have, then I have to deal with that.
Right.
So yeah, I just learned in the business, because, Joan Rivers, God rest her soul, she would be very mean about other female comics.
Was she?
Oh, she was terrible to me. Oh, I'm in her book. And I understood. See, this is why it's lucky I was interviewed about her years later after I worked on myself, because I can't come down on her. Because guess what? She was a dented can like the rest of us. I say we're all dented cans.
What did she say about you in her book?
Oh, not original. No. I was quoted, she said on the air that I was unoriginal, that I only talked about the blacks. And this is years later when that's not true. And I go, I didn't even get mad. I was hurt a little because she's an icon.
Sure.
I let it go. Comics have been mean to me the whole time. Jim remembers. They made me miserable at the Cellar. I was way too soft for the Cellar. I would come there, bring a book, and read because it hurt me all the time. So I always go, look, the three people who were meanest to me, and this is true, Patrice O'Neal, Greg Giraldo, Joan Rivers. They all got one thing in common.
That's true.
They're in the fucking ground. Guess who's still up here swinging? And so you just got to go with other comics. Just shut your mouths.
Did you know Patrice felt bad about his relationship with you?
He
regretted
called into
that.
a radio show and he apologized. And they played it. Paul and Young Ron.
That's right.
Played it the whole weekend because no one could believe Patrice O'Neal apologized. And it was so heartwarming that by the end he did that. I just thought that was real gentlemanly.
Jeff Garland tells a story similar to that too. Like he just at the end he was like, I've been that guy. Like, you had that moment or that wow, that moment of self-reflection that he wasn't sick. I mean, it wasn't like he knew he was going to die, but he just came to that place where he was like, I'm fucking with people. And you forget that it has a real effect on real people.
I remember it really was what shut me down at the Cellar because I remember the first time I ever talked to Patrice was when, so many years ago, we were both kind of newish, but he had been on TV already on Conan, his first big Conan. He comes in and there was nobody else there. So he talked to me. So I was like, the loser who he talked to. And he was asking me something about a girl that he liked and advice and whatever. I remember coming in the next day, all you guys were there. So he had somebody else to talk to. So I walk in and like the kid at school, I just go, hi, Patrice. He goes, look, just because we talked once doesn't mean we're friends. Do you know what that fucking does to you when you don't know anyone else?
Right.
And you feel like, oh my God, shut me down. I was never comfortable at the Cellar again. I'd go every night till I started doing theaters about 15 years ago. I've never been in the Cellar since.
Really?
Or any comedy club in the city. Not because I don't want to. I never do spots. I don't want to do spots. Like my life, thank God, is in Connecticut for the most part, where I really have family and friends.
Is that where you're living?
Both New York and Connecticut. But I don't feel my time is well spent at clubs. It doesn't profit me. But boy, did it hurt. You know, it hurts your feelings. They forget you're still dented.
I mean, I think I've said this on the air before, but Patrice was dismissive of Jess the first time he met her, which he was my wife, girlfriend at the time, which he was of girlfriends.
Sure.
And like years later, this was the summer before he died, I reintroduced her as if they hadn't met before, just to kind of ease awkwardness.
Right.
And he took full ownership and apologized.
Wow.
Like just right there, and like blew Jess, and Jess had carried it for years, like knowing that like she wasn't treated right. And I was like, oh, it's Patrice. Like,
but
what?
we do carry it, and that's what's great. I remember when the New Yorker magazine or New York was doing a big retrospective on Patrice. And it was right after his death, probably a month or so, and really deep piece. And they were interviewing everybody, so they called me for an interview, and I go. Of course, I talked to him, and I go, I fucking hated him. I go, yeah, he apologized. He fucking ruined about 10 years of my life. And of course, now I know he was my best teacher. You know, come on. So I go, he was horrible. I go, just because he died doesn't mean I'm going to switch my story and say he was a great guy. So what's great is it fit in with the story. Great. It was nice.
Sure.
Do you know, I get an email from his wife, I guess, and she goes, you are the best. Patrice would have fucking loved that you stuck to your guns like that. And what's funny is then I'm able to let it go.
Right,
I know he would have liked that.
He would have said you were right. I was shitty to her.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? You know who I always loved when he was shitty to me because he always apologized because he's a big fucking pussy like me? Voss. Rich Voss would literally, he'd say something, by the way, anything he said to you to dish you was so funny that you almost didn't care. But he'd come up the next day and go, Lampanelli, okay, shin, right? Because he's all AA.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and he's also a coward. He's also he's a brave coward.
Or maybe he thought I'd make it and he wouldn't. He wanted to get on the old gravy train. But honestly, I was like, that's really sweet. But I always thought, like, you know who I quote Jim Norton so much, and I can't believe it, because, you know, I always talk about Seinfeld, how he used to stop at the Cellar and just not be nice and just kind of not.
He's a much.
He's half Latino, half Met fan. Patrice O'Neal. Someone wanted Patrice in the background.
That's one of the pieces of artwork from his memoriam.
Here's my costume on the top.
Stop it! Stop it!
You're going as the little kid from.
Oh my God!
If you act now, you get this adorable.
Stop it!
Anthony CUMIA picture.
Stop it!
Adorable.
I cried through the whole thing because I was so fucking bored. I got to tell you, just kidding, Colin. Colin has always been nice to me, and that's why I felt I could make a little shot like that because he'd understand me.
It's like
he's too smart, though.
It's like a history teacher.
Stop being smart.
History teachers up there.
Yeah, stop being that smart.
I cried through the whole thing too, but because I had an onion on the burger. But Colin has got 4 one-man shows that are all fantastic.
And all of them, if you pool all the ticket sales, it would equal one of Artie's shows.
Oh.
I'm just kidding, Colin. Colin doesn't watch this. What am I fucking apologizing?
No, this is not. He's not watching us. He's not a subscriber.
Speaking of apologies, do you know I was the only person I think in history to get an apology out of Patrice O'Neal before he died?
What happened? Wow. What did he say?
Well, that fat fuck used to abuse me and be mean to me. Yeah. He called in a radio station. He said, if I ever did anything to make you uncomfortable, I'm terrible. He's
you know what? I was Frank. That was Frank Caliendo.
Oh, okay. See, it wasn't even really
Patrice. I thought it was Patrice.
Because everybody loves you. You know, I mean, Patrice that was almost his act, too, you know.
Yeah.
He was good at insulting, like yourself, so he went at it. But I was, still you're a lady. It's hard. A lot of female comics now try to be like men.
Who doesn't have bias based on their life experience or any network. It's a ridiculous goal.
And you know what? That's not true. I started off. Men.
What's that?
Don't berate grown men. To fire them. What are we discussing there? Career. So what? But you don't hire Geraldo if you want journalistic integrity, okay? Every time he collects a paycheck, he's raping Fox like they were a drunk girl at a Puerto Rican Day parade. Good evening, friends. Listen. I'm sorry, Gorilla in the mix. She just called you. Now, hold on.
I'm saying to you.
She called you gorillas in a mist. I don't want to say anything to start any trouble.
Oh, you troublemaking Jew bastard.
Yeah.
You people are always stirring something
I know, but at least we wear gold, not silver.
Hey, this is tin.
You look like Al Sharpton in denial.
All right, enough.
Wear another earring, we'll forget you're 60.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You are not stealing my nose! Get away from me, fat black man! Patrice is jealous because I can read.
Gorillas in the mist. That's done.
He is fat with
That was very funny.
thanks, Jew.
But only point.
That's a big company.
I know.
That was a sweeping one.
Patrice, I realize you're black, but this isn't a movie theater. You don't have to talk.
Come on, that was a good one. Say something. Come on, folks. Wait, Lisa, say something.
I am boycotting this movie, not because of the stereotypes in it, which are all true. I am boycotting it because I thought it was going to be about an interracial love story.
Right.
And it ends up she gets the nerdy Jew at the end. She doesn't get the good white guy. She gets the nerdy Jew. Sure, a big black bitch and a nerdy Jew. But why? If the sex doesn't kill him, his mother will.
Why is it? David Bowie has a point.
Let me hold on.
Movie. Thank you, LL Cool Whip.
Listen. Once again, hold on. When I bring this back on topic, I don't want to call me a cornball. Go ahead,
Let Jack LaLanne, the lady ears, talk.
What was that?
I hate to laugh at him, but it was funny.
What did you say?
Jack LaLanne with that body shirt.
Oh,
Go ahead.
thanks, Rich. You know, I talked to the Star Search people.
We are here live at the 5-year anniversary of Walt Disney Baghdad. President Al Sharpton is in attendance to enjoy today's festivities. Disney unveils his new character Benny and his sidekick Willie the Stick that he keeps strapped to his chest. And nothing. Don't forget tonight at 1:25 a.m. in the Sands Hotel basement, Lisa Lampanelli performs her one-woman show. Ugh. Hope to see you there. Good night.
All right. Rich, boss.